The UN is warning about an outbreak of waterborne diseases, including diarrhea, in Bangladeshi camps, where hundreds of thousands of Rohingya are settled in. UN spokesman says there is an increasing trend of diarrhea cases, including patients with severe dehydration. The World Body on Monday opened a 20-bed treatment center in a refugee camp. It will allocate another 60 beds to treat the Rohingya suffering from the disease. Teams have been sent to several camps to identify those who have not sought treatment yet. Bangladeshi health officials say that at least 10,500 people have been treated since August 25, when Rohingya refugees began fleeing army's crackdown in Myanmar. UNICEF has described the situation of the Rohingya children as horrifying.
The pictures that we are seeing here are horrifying. They reflect children seeing things that no child should ever see, much less endure.
The charity group Doctors Without Borders is also warning that Rohingya refugee camps are on the brink of a public health disaster. It is estimated that 500,000 people from Myanmar's Muslim minority have fled the crackdown and violence in the Buddhist majority country over the past 5 weeks. The UN says it needs around $350 million to increase its relief operations in the camps inside Bangladesh. Kevin Barrett is an author and Middle East expert who joins us to tell us more about this. So you have, the immediate problem of these Rohingya refugees who are inside these camps with the horrific conditions that they're dealing with. But in the bigger picture, there's still the problem of Myanmar and the way they're treating the Muslim Rohingyas.
Well, that's what the problem really is. The problem is that Myanmar, or a big segment of its power structure and even its population, especially the institutionalized Buddhist priesthood, has decided completely irrationally to scapegoat this group of people and to deny them citizenship. They have 50-plus ethnic groups around Myanmar, all integrated into this country, and for some reason this one group is deemed as not worthy of citizenship, and therefore they have to be expelled or exterminated. This is the classic kind of ethnic cleansing or genocide that we've seen repeatedly over the past couple of centuries, and the so-called Nazi Holocaust, the one that gets all of the media coverage here in the West, was supposed to leave the world with the lesson of never again. However, it seems like with Israel selling vast amounts of arms to the very military in Myanmar that is conducting this genocide, which has already ethnically cleansed the majority of the Rohingya population from Myanmar, but getting close to 1 million people now have been chased out into Bangladesh, and somewhere around only 500,000 or so now remain. It seems that the very people who should be remembering this never again lesson are the ones who are least interested in trying to enforce it. So obviously the solution to this is to stop burning these villages, massacring people, and forcing them to flee across the river, where many drown, en route to these squalid refugee camps. And if the UN can come up with X millions of dollars to help keep people alive and to stop these food-borne, water-borne diseases that are continuing the work of the genocide, I suppose that's good. But the international community really has to step up here and say no more. And we saw in the last story that the Israelis are planning the total, final extermination of the Palestinians, the final ethnic cleansing there. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if, with their immense power in the West and the international community, as well as all of their arms sales to Myanmar, the Israelis aren't quite encouraging this in the same way they encouraged the genocide of Muslims in India, working with the extremist Hindus there, precisely in order to, number one, keep the global war on Islam going, and number two, provide a precedent so they can say, when they're ready to do their final ethnic cleansing of Palestine, see, we're not the only ones that do it. That's the Israelis' main excuse for what they do. They say there are other people who are worse than us. Genghis Khan did worse things than we're doing right now. That's their only excuse for what they're doing. So we're living through a terrible dark age right now in terms of a failure of the international community of the modern world to live up to the ideals that it has been setting out for itself over the past century.
Thank you, Kevin Barrett, author and Middle East expert from Madison.